Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. In Kumasi, we are on Love 99.5 FM in over 30 affiliates, including Clenham Radio in Bato. We are on A1 Radio in Bogatanga, Sky FM in Sunyai. We are on Radio Max in Takrady. You can go digital on Spotify. We're live on Facebook and myjoyonline.com. In this edition, Finance Ministry has been ranked Ghana's most financially reckless ministry, accounting for more than 11 billion cedis in losses to the state.
Commercial banks who collect revenue or tax revenue on behalf of government fail to lodge the funds based on the time frame provided by the PFM Act. And that was one of the major issues that government faced.
I have more from the Imani Fiscal Recklessness Index. Also this afternoon, IGP Dr. George Akufu-Dampare fires British High Commissioner to Ghana, asking her to mind her own business over what he describes as misguided, unwarranted and biased comment on Twitter. We'll find out why and also hear from international relations expert on this developing diplomatic feud. Also, Supreme Court yet to hold any hearing more than a month after assuring it will speed up the case in which it restrained James Jachikwason from representing the people of Asin North in Parliament. We're live in court. And this afternoon, we're also in Tefle, in the Volta region, where residents are incensed by the poor state of our roads and have threatened to march to Accra.
I mean, we depend on the road. Even a car has been knocking down the goats, the live animals, even women beings. Somebody's leg is broken at the back here because somebody's trying to dodge a pothole in town. So they should come and fix the road for us.
And their sports.
Ghana target Tariq Lamptey says he will be at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium to watch Ghana versus Madagascar amid reports that he wants to switch nationality to Ghana. We have details in 20 minutes.
We're all heading there. That and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa. Apawu, many thanks for choosing us. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. So you want to stay for details. Let's settle for the details now. And the Finance Ministry has been ranked Ghana's most financially reckless ministry, accounting for more than 11 billion cedis in losses to the state. Well, that's according to the latest Fiscal Recklessness Index launched by Imani Ghana today. The losses were based on irregularities tracked in the Auditor General's report between 2015 and 2020. Joy News editor Evans Mensah was at the launch. He joins me in studio with details of that. Evans, let's first find out what accounted for the Finance Ministry's poor performance.
So if you look at the specifics, the ministry had the highest combined fiscal recklessness score, which is pretty significant compared to the rest of the ministries that were also measured in the rankings. But two key factors accounted for this. The first is tax irregularities, and the second is cash irregularities. Then it's the Imani's consultant who did the work.
Commercial banks who collect revenue or tax revenue on behalf of government fail to lodge the funds based on the time frame provided by the PFM Act. And that was one of the major issues that government faced. So overall, this is the fiscal recklessness score of the 29 MDAs in Ghana. And you see that the Ministry of Finance and its subsidiary agencies are the most fiscally reckless institution in the country. Over the 6-year period, the Ministry of Finance consistently appeared as the most reckless institution. That is, the Ministry of Finance and its subsidiary institutions were the most fiscally reckless institutions within the period. And one major reason is that when we say Ministry of Finance, it's not Ministry of Finance headquarters. When you say Ministry of Finance, the Auditor General's report, it includes subsidiary agencies like the GRE, because the Ministry of Finance, beyond its role as a sector ministry, it's also a central management agency that also coordinates the work of other ministries. So sometimes when there's an irregularity, it also appears also in the activities of the Ministry of Finance. Key institutions that came up strongly was the GRE and the Controller and Accountants General Department. If you look at between the Ministry of Finance and the next fiscally reckless agency, that's the Ministry of Health, the gap is about 0.7 points. That's about 70% difference, which shows that a lot of the recklessness and the profligacy in spending is centralized around a single agency and its subsidiary agencies.
So, Evans, we are learning that the health ministry came in as a second most financially reckless ministry. How much did we lose there in 5 years?
So for the health ministry, it pales in comparison to the finance ministry, because the finance ministry, if you break it down into the tax irregularities alone, we're talking about in excess of 9.1 billion cedis. And then you talk about the second issue with the cash irregularities amounting to in excess of 2 billion. The health ministry is in second, but the thing to note about the health ministry is that it overtook the finance ministry as the most fiscally reckless MDA in 2020. So if you track over the 5-year period, they've constantly been behind the finance ministry until 2020, where they recorded significant losses, also almost a billion cedis in losses. But there were others. So if you come to finance, then health being the top two. And it's not surprising that you have the roads and highways as a third. Obviously, there's a lot of contracting issues, and that's one of the things that was flat. A lot of the contract issues is a key factor in the losses and the irregularities that we've seen. Employment Ministry, Foreign Affairs Ministry is also there. Justice and Attorney General's Department is also there, all in the top 5, top 6. If you look at the top 10, you have the Trade and Industry Ministry, Judicial Service is also there. The best performing, you will find Chieftaincy Ministry, of course, I mean, for obvious reasons. And then you have the Information Ministry, best performing, because they are really at the lower end of the table in terms of the ranking there. So that is the snapshot of all the key institutions and ministries measured.
Okay, so let's talk about the total amount of loss the economy suffered due to the recklessness of these ministries and their ministers, we should say, and how does that compare to the previous report in 2016?
It's actually jaw-dropping, because you're looking at 13 billion cedis over a 5-year period. The last time Imani did this was in 2016. It was just around 1 billion cedis. But we are talking now about a significant increase in that over a 5-year period. And what Imani says is, clearly the lessons haven't been learnt. And let's to explain this. This is tracking based on the Auditor General reports over a 5-year period. And so they're looking at these various institutions and the key irregularities the Auditor General is recording regarding the operations over that period. And it comes down to 13 billion over that period. And if you put it in the context of the current economic situation, that's what E-levy is going to give us, and this is 6 billion. But that's how much we've lost in 1 year. For example, they may recorded 5 billion. And this is Dennis explaining some of the key issues, why we are where we are, and why the jump we've seen over the 5-year period.
So the overarching aim of public financial management is to ensure strategic allocation of resources and deliver efficient service delivery in Ghana, or ensure that services that we deliver to citizens, we do it at the highest level of efficiency. And when we do that, in the wake of our public debt and low revenue mobilization, what we have also observed is that the level of indiscipline or the financial cost of the recklessness of ministries, departments, and agencies are increasing this time compared to 2010 and 2014. So if you look at between 2015 and 2020, where we have tightened our public financial management system, implemented more laws, and established institutions to ensure greater accountability, the recklessness or the financial cost of the indiscipline of MDAs are actually increasing now than before, which tell us that the public financial management systems that we have are not translating in delivering efficiency. And if you compare 2010 to 2014, the financial cost of the recklessness of MDAs to the period 2015 and 2020, you see that the recklessness has increased by about 13 times. So between 2010 and 2014, the financial cost of irregularities was about 1.4 billion cedis, but between 2015 and 2020, it's about 13.9 billion.
That's Imani Ghana with a fiscal recklessness index. We have details of that on myjoyonline.com. Away from the recklessness, this afternoon, the IGP, Dr. George Ekufu Dampare, has been firing at the British High Commissioner, asking her to mind her own business over what she's also been accusing her of meddling in Ghana's internal politics. In a letter cited by Joy News, the IGP links a tweet by the High Commissioner to the arrest of Fix the Country convener Oliver Bakavomawo and questions her motive in singling out Mr. Vomawo in that tweet when many other people are facing the law for breaking traffic offences. Well, it's a 4-page letter, and we'll bring you every juice of it. Elton Brobe has that document. He joins me in studio. Elton, first, give me an understanding of that particular tweet by Harriet Thompson, the British High Commissioner to Ghana.
So the tweet necessitated this background, and the Fix the Country convener was arrested at the East Legon Tunnel in Accra as part of an operation by the police to control traffic. He was subsequently taken to the East Legon police cells after he was arraigned before the Medina District Court. Now, in response, Madam Harriet Thompson in a tweet on Tuesday, May 17, said she looks forward to seeing how the arrest of the convener of the Fix the Country movement will turn out. And this is the exact quote. Oliver Bakavomawo, the convener of Fix the Country movement, arrested again, I understand, for a motoring offense on his way to court. I will be interested to see where this goes. And this is the tweet, Emefa.
Okay. Now, what part of this particular tweet is then upsetting the IGP, Dr. George Akufu Dampare, to necessitate this 4-page letter?
So for them, the attention has been drawn to this. The police says that they would not have responded to the comments such as yours, obviously made from either a biased or uninformed position. However, we've learned from previous painful experience that it has not been helpful to ignore such misguided, unwarranted, and biased comments intended to tarnish the reputation of the Ghana Police Service and that of the country Ghana.
Okay, he raises a number of questions with the High Commissioner. Let's go through them.
So one, the 4-page statement said that do people get arrested for traffic offense in your country? And I'm sure he's referring to the United Kingdom. Is it a case that a person on his or her way to a British court cannot be pulled over for traffic offense or any other offense for that matter? Are you still persuaded 3 days after your tweet that you were within the bounds of the Vienna Convention, which regulates the conduct of diplomats in the countries in which they serve? Should you get involved in the domestic internal affairs, especially security issues of the sovereign state in which you are serving as a diplomat? Do you know of any instance where Ghanaian diplomats in Britain have involved themselves in your internal affairs? Is there any particular reason why, of all the people arrested daily for various offenses in Ghana, you are especially interested in this person's case? Is it the case that you don't have confidence in our justice delivery, criminal justice system, and our court processes as a whole? Do you know the number of members of parliament, chief executives, and other high-profile Ghanaians who have been arrested and prosecuted for road traffic offenses and have submitted themselves to due process? If you care to know, we will be delighted to share the list with you. Have you the legally and internationally accepted limits associated with the freedom of speech and association been stretched to the point where people can now say and act without regard to the sanctity, security, and the very survival of a country? When it comes to such matters, are there any limits in place in your country? Are you interested in the number of lives lost to road accidents and the number of injured persons, as well as families who have become destitute as a result of such accidents caused by the infractions of people like the person of interest to you? And finally, have you taken note of the innovations being introduced by the Ghana Police Service in recent times to deepen discipline, law, and order?
And these are 15 questions fired at the British High Commissioner.
Yes.
We don't know if we have a response to this yet, but the concluding part is of interest. Let's go through it.
So they say that the statement said that we note that some leaders of faith-based organizations in your country made pronouncements that were considered as national security threats. They were branded as terrorists, arrested, prosecuted, and in some cases were extradited. This, we believe, your country did in its quest to safeguard the security of the state and ensure the sustenance of the peace the inhabitants enjoy. And he says, for a moment, we would recommend a Ghanaian saying that might guide you in your diplomatic engagements. The saying goes, do fiasem or do fiasem. It means learn to keep within the limits of what concerns you. Please accept the assurance of our highest consideration. This is signed by George Akufu Dampare. the Inspector General of Police.
Himself.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is a story that we'll definitely be following because he's been quoting the violation of the Vienna Convention. That's the tweet. That's how he's been describing it. And he talks about the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, 1961, and it enjoins diplomatic missions not to interfere in the internal affairs of their host country. We'll definitely be engaging international relations experts or analysts on this subsequently. But let me take you to the Supreme Court now. And more than 1 month after the Apex Court assured of an expeditious hearing of a case in which it restrained James Jachikwesing from representing the people of Asin North in Parliament, the court is yet to hold any hearing. Court officials have on 2 occasions announced an adjournment, with the Supreme Court Judge Jones Doche announcing a 3rd adjournment today. The court on April 13 restrained Mr. Kwesing from holding himself as a legislator. The NP has since been fighting to get this set aside, but he's yet to have his day in court. Court correspondent Joseph Akable is back in court for us today and joins us on the line. So we understand 3 cases have been adjourned. Tell us about them.
All the 3 have to do with the Member of Parliament. The first one is asking the Supreme Court to review its decision to injunct Mr. Kwesing from performing parliamentary duties. The second one is the substantive case that was filed by Michael Ankoma Nimfa, a resident of the constituency, for which basis he asked the court to actually injunct the MP. Then the final one is asking the Supreme Court to set aside the Court of Appeals decision that struck out the MP's appeal of a High Court judgment, which formed the entire basis of this particular legal action. And so all those 3 matters were adjourned to June 14 by the Supreme Court.
Well, so did the court give any particular reason for the adjournment this time around?
According to Justice Jones Doche, who was presiding over a different case, he says a member of the panel is indisposed, and so the case stands adjourned to June 14. But on the 2 previous occasions, the judges were not the ones who did the announcement, just the court officials who announced in open court that the said cases had been adjourned.
Well, but interestingly, I don't know if I missed it, but was James Jachikwesing in court himself today?
No, he was not present in court today. Just his lawyers and a representative who came over to monitor proceedings. And we understand the adjournment is an issue of concern to them because their expectation was that these were matters that were supposed to be dealt with expeditiously.
That's our court correspondent, Joseph Akable, there with details from the Supreme Court. Now, let me take you quickly to the Volta region now, where residents of Tefle in the South Tong district say they are preparing to march all the way to Accra to demand that government fixes roads in the district. When Joy News visited the community, several residents came up to tell stories of how the poor state of roads in the district has left people with broken legs from crashes and high cost of vehicle maintenance by motorists. In our special community feature, Blessed Soga reports.
Yeah, we'll after this year, if they didn't turn up, we'll peacefully demonstrate. We'll submit letter to the Chief Executive Officer of South Tong, then to the appropriate quarters for the road to be fixed for us. Because it's long as it's affecting the community life, the night lives here, day life. I mean, we depend on the road.
On the 12th of January 2020, Kincaid Company Limited was awarded a contract for the construction of a 4-kilometer road network connecting Tefle to Sukpe in the South Tong district of the Volta region. However, after more than 2 years, what was supposed to be a 6-month project is yet to be completed. Benjamin Amakuji is assembly member for the area.
It's affecting the community life, the night lives here, day life. I mean, we depend on the road. Even a car has been knocking down the goats, the live animals, even women beings. Somebody's leg is broken at the back here because somebody's trying to dodge a pothole in town. So they should come and fix the road for us.
Motorists who use the stretch lament poor visibility, which makes their transport business unsafe.
Yeah, it really affects the business because when your friend is in front of you riding, you have to really be patient because when it's moving, the dust comes more. So you have to relax. So even for places that are supposed to go for 2 or 3 minutes, you see that you lose an hour.
Others also share their accounts of how the bad road is affecting them.
The assembly member promised the entire community that the road will be fixed within 6 months. But it is 1.5 years now. I mean, it is so bad that we cannot tolerate the dust anymore.
People who are side of the other road, okay, when you enter their room, too bad. A day you have to wash your thing, you continue to wash your thing. you don't wear any new thing again.
Meanwhile, community leaders have served notice that they will march to Accra, the national capital, to petition relevant stakeholders if nothing is done about the roads this year.
Joy News, we want to use your medium to tell government of the Republic of Ghana, the whole world, to use the time available now from today to the end of 25th December. If the road is not fixed, we will come to Accra. The flow will come to Accra. Accra. From today to 25th December.
Blessed Soga there reporting from Tefle in the Volta region. And we're hitting the election headquarters this afternoon because the new research has revealed 26% of delegates in the Ashanti region doubt the new patriotic parties break the 8th agenda of retaining power after the 2024 elections. Respondents cite the government's failure to complete projects under the 1 million per constituency initiative as a major impediment. The grip of the party in its political stronghold is also threatened by outcomes of recent party elections, other polling and constituency levels. From the polling station to the regional level elections, factions have evolved, with some aggrieved persons seeking redress in court. Nana Aljima has been focusing on efforts to deal with these cases as re-elected regional chair Bernard Enchiboesiako launches an agenda to break the 8.
The research by Dr. Smart Sapon of Kumasi Technical University ahead of the NPP's Delegates Conference accurately predicted a 57.8% of ballots cast for the incumbent Bernard Enchiboesiako, missing that of the closest contender by 2 percentage points. Part of the research also revealed some party delegates fear that breaking the 8th agenda is unachievable.
The delegates that are going to influence the common forum members, if the delegates, 26% of them do not believe then we can break the 8th, then it is the first assignment for the elected regional executives. They are to bring their delegates to the level of believing that they can break the 8th.
Many pending cases in court are challenging elections in constituencies as the Alternative Dispute Resolution Committee of the party makes efforts to clear these cases. Bernard Enchiboesiako, who has led the NPP in the region to 2 elections, promised party members to fight towards strengthening the grounds in the region.
So we'll be here for 2024 breaking the 8th sake. My name is regional executive say will be
Secretary of the Elections Committee in the region, Henry Kwabena Kukufu, says appropriate action is being taken.
We know how to manage it. We know that issues will arise, but when they come, how do you tackle them and how do you manage them? So in our own wisdom and the wisdom of the National Party, we will come together, form the reconciliatory committee in earnest.
After the regional delegates conference on Saturday, the party activated its reconciliation efforts. Leaders are expected to put the party together towards attaining their objective to break the 8th.
Nana Aljima's report taking us out of the election headquarters for a quick break here on the Midday News. Finance Ministry ranked Ghana's most financially reckless ministry, accounting for more than 11 billion cedis in losses to the state. Also this afternoon, Dr. George Ekufu Dampare, Ghana's IGP, fires British High Commissioner, asking her to mind her own business over what he describes as misguided, unwarranted and biased comment over the Ghana Police Service. We've been looking at that. When we return, we have sports. And then this afternoon, we'll take you to Parliament. And then we'll hear from Ghana National Association of Teachers as a petition President Akufo-Addo demanding that October 5, which is Teachers' Day, be marked as a public holiday.
If we cannot do anything for us as teachers, at least the 5th October, it is high time that we get it as a public holiday for teachers.
Akwaba, ba Akwaba Magic Ebusia, brand new channel, Tia Roba, Emuno Chiao, Ewo DSTV channel 149, and Go TV channel 108. Enianom Akwaba Magic Ebusia, Eddie Nidia Ghanaian programs mu Baufi, Ebi to set the day, to have and to hold, Enyom Senior Cassia, series any talk show, Bemo Wakao TV set Nichi, Akwaba Magic Ebusia, Ewo DSTV access to your 50 Ghana cedis per any Go TV value, to your 25 Ghana cedis per Ebusia Akwaba.
Hey, Efo, what brings you to my house this early morning? I hope all is well.
Oh, it's never well with me or my brother. After paying 3 times for the land for my project, the construction workers are giving me wahala. From material overestimation to small steering and excuses from artisans. Charlie, I'm tired though. Works that can be done in 2 weeks are done over 2 months. I have to pay them whether the work is good or not.
I told you so, Efo.
It's all because you're trying to become builders when you're corporate workers and business people. Edlom has products tailored to meet your needs. Villas 3 at Amrahia, where there are finished homes with very flexible payment terms. For more information, please visit edlomhousing.com. Send an email to sales@edlomhousing.com or simply call 0270-166-166. Edlom Housing, where spacious and quality homes cost less.
Thanks for sticking with the best. It's time for sports.
Brighton's right back Tariq Lamptey is in Ghana and reports arrived that the player who wants to switch nationality to play for the Black Stars. My colleague Gary Osmith caught up with him at the airport.
Osei Mensah-Bonsu.
To be honest, honestly, I just tried to come the season is finished now. It's been a long, good season. I just came just to relax, just to try and do some charity work, go and see how the foundation is doing, see some family and friends, not think about football too much. Maybe, I know the game is on, so maybe if I have the chance to go and watch that'll be good, but not too much football other than that, just try and relax, and do one or two things that I came here to do.
Tariq Lamptey rumored to be willing to play for Ghana. He recently declined a call-up to the England under-21 team, and the head coach said that he wants to switch nationalities to Ghana.
I want to teach him a thing or two. We're going to Cape Coast, right?
What would that be?
Well, I'll tell you later when I meet him. Thank you very much, Muftau. Let me take you to Parliament now. And the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, says despite assurances by the Finance Minister to make available 54 million to Parliament in the first quarter of the year, only 7 million Ghana cedis was released. The Speaker also observed that government owed Parliament to a tune of 75 million by the end of the 2021 financial year, adding that the release of 25 million last week was used to defray the debt owed the creditors. Well, let's bring in parliamentary correspondent on what actually is happening when it comes to the finances of Parliament. Was there a particular decision taken by the Speaker this time?
Essentially, no, Emefa. The majority leader actually brought the matter to the floor of the House again, basically because the Speaker last week has said that he won't tolerate the majority leader challenging his official position as the Speaker of the House. This was in connection with some declaration the Speaker made about Parliament being broke. And so the majority leader decided to clarify a few issues, which he says the Speaker did not get a communication right, and that was why he made that particular pronouncement. So he insisted that he never meant to accuse the Speaker or sought to undermine his authority. So the Speaker responding was when he made the revelation that, as we speak, only 7 million has been given to Parliament for the first quarter.
Well, we also know that the Education Committee was supposed to meet the Education Ministry and the GES. What has become of that meeting?
If I checked on the meeting and we are told by the committee members that it's been postponed to next week, Tuesday. Reason is simple, that the Director of Education, the GES, Professor Okoko Mankwa, is not in the jurisdiction. They are expecting him and the Minister himself to appear before the committee. They don't want to hear the Minister and later come and hear the GES boss, and so they are waiting for the two. When they return on Tuesday, then they can do that.
That's a parliamentary correspondent, Parker Wilson. Well, in the Ashanti region, the Ejisu District Quarters remanded into police custody a driver who crushed 3 siblings to death at Ejisu Bisiase in the Ashanti region. Well, 30-year-old Justice Ajoy, who was behind the steering wheel of the Honda CRV vehicle, has been charged with dangerous driving contrary to Section 1 of the Road Traffic Act, where police prosecutors pleaded with the court to remand the accused to enable police complete investigation. So his plea was not taken and remained calm throughout as court officials interpreted proceedings in the local dialect to him. Also this afternoon, the Ghana Revenue Authority is giving a fiat by the Attorney General to begin dealing with tax-defiant institutions in the country. And just before we go, some teachers have petitioned President Akufo-Addo to declare Teachers' Day observed on October 5 annually as a public holiday. Among other things, the teachers say some teachers have to go through a lot, and in some situations are declined permission to absent themselves, partaking activities to observe the day. We can listen to Reverend Isaac Owusu and the Editor-in-Chief of the Colleges of Education, Larry Agbado.
when Ghana, which is part of the world, is celebrating the Teachers' World Day, some teachers find it difficult. If you are not part of the national activity, teachers find it very difficult in partaking in the day's activity. Some directors will have to make sure that the teachers are not allowed. So how will you feel if, for instance, this year we'll be going to Tamale to celebrate for national one, and assuming a teacher in Accra, Okumlemle Basic School, whilst others are celebrating in Tamale?
Our teachers there ending today's edition of the Midday News. You're on Joy 99.7 FM in Kumasi. We're on Love 99.5 FM together with over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Your comment on Baka Vomawo's arrest was from an uninformed position. IGP replies British High Commissioner. Baka Vomawo's arrest, mind your business, Dampare tells British High Commissioner. Also, Jachi Kweson's case adjourned for the third time. Read that and more on myjoyonline.com. We have Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil. Up next, I am Emefa Apawu.
Joy 99.7 FM.